Hi everyone, my name is Madison Baldridge, and today I will be presenting to you on food insecurity among active duty service members and veterans. And this is for my practice white paper presentation. And this is just something that I feel very passionately about, especially because my dad is soon to be a veteran. He's retiring at the end of this month, and he has been active duty for most of my life. So this is something that I care about a lot. So just some background and introduction about this topic before I get into it. In the year from September 2014 to August of 2015, active duty service members spent more than $21 million on SNAP benefits at military commissaries. And of this total year, of this 11 months or so, there were, I believe, $80 million total spent at military commissaries. So a large chunk of this is SNAP benefits that are being spent at military commissaries. And along with that, many veterans and their families and active duty service men and women are living at or below the poverty line in our country. So some of the challenges to seeking benefits include that people are unaware of what program assistance is available to them, and that there's, especially in the military, there's a really large stigma for receiving assistance due to the self-sufficient mindset of the military and the idea that you should be able to provide for yourself. And so along with this, there's also a really big misunderstanding about who can qualify for assistance. And there's a lot of inconsistency with what programs they can apply for and what eligibility there is and the cutoffs. There's a lot of very niche issues within this. And a big part of this is the basic allowance for housing, which I'm going to get into in just a moment. So the Academy's proposed solution, some of the legislature that I found was that the 2021 Military Hunger Prevention Act was first introduced to the House of Representatives by Jimmy Panetta and then the Senate by Tammy Duckworth. And then it was enacted into legislature. And then also the Department of Defense release of Military Leaders Economic Security Toolkit. So essentially this was just an aid for military leaders so that they could help ID the people or their troops that need financial assistance. And this was just expanding their toolkit. And then in 2022, the NDAA required the Department of Defense to institute the Basic Needs Allowance, the BNA, for service members with household incomes less than 130%, less than or at 130% of the federal poverty guidelines. So this was one of the peer-reviewed articles that I found, and there were a couple of things that I wanted to note about this article. The article is titled Military Eligibility for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program for SNAP, Simulating the Exemption of Basic Allowance for Housing from Gross Income. So this article really called for the BAH to be exempt from SNAP benefits. And this was something that I found throughout my research. And it was that there was a low SNAP participation among active duty service personnel and their families because the BAH is included as countable income. And in this, it exempts a lot of military personnel. However, in this study, they found that if BAH was exempted from their gross income, the eligibility across active duty service members increases 263%, which is a really significant increase in people that are eligible for SNAP benefits. And the original Military Hunger Act actually excluded BAH and the gross income from SNAP eligibility. However, the enacted Military Hunger Act supported the basic needs allowance rather than going through the basic allowance for housing. So they kind of like switched gears a little bit and they focused more on the basic needs allowance. But the issue with this is that you have to apply for the basic needs allowance. If you're not eligible for SNAP, you must apply for the basic needs allowance through your FSSA chain of command, like within your chain of command. So going back to the issue with stigma, there is a big issue with applying or seeking help through this service. And some of the implications, I just wanted to go over this really fast, but some of the implications of food insecurity within military, especially military personnel. is their readiness for mission. And so, especially with my dad being on active duty, you get notified um, that you have to be ready to go in about 12 hours. So if you're somebody that is consistently facing hunger in our nation and you're trying to go serve our country, this is going to significantly impact your readiness and your ability to retain your mission details and successfully do your job. And then along with this, they found that it's also impacting recruitment of military personnel because a lot of dependents or these people's kids are most likely to serve because their parents served. However, it's impacting the recruitment because they see the struggles that their parents are enduring and they do not want to endure the same thing. And then some of the recommendations that I found were to reform the basic needs assessment that we were talking about in this article. So the eligibility cutoff would extend from 130% to 200% of the federal poverty guidelines, and this would work to include more of the active duty service personnel. Another thing that I found was calling to exclude the BAH from income calculations for both the basic needs assessment, but also for the SNAP eligibility, which we talked about in this article. And lastly, to increase support and flexibility for service members, as well as their spouses and their dependents. So not all of this was mentioned in this specific article, but this was just from my personal research, and I thought that this was relevant to this program and this legislature. These are my references. Thank you.